Alright, so today we're going to be going through Dragon Priest. Let's take a look at the deck and I'll tell you a little bit about this one. So Dragon Priest is a mid-range deck. Let's take a look at the one that I'm going to be using today off the bat. So, basic concept is that dragons have a lot of synergy with each other. You got the Blackwing Corruptor, the Twilight Guardian, the Twilight Whelp, and the Wormrest Agent, Blackwing Technician, which proves to be a little more optional than the rest that I mentioned here. But all of them have really strong effects when you have a dragon in your hand. Now, Priest has always had trouble building a board state, because Priest doesn't really have the good class cards that most other people have. Like, they don't have Flame Imps, they don't have the crazy Shaman cards, they don't have a lot of the Paladin cards. Like, if you just compare it to other decks, Priest doesn't usually have that much. So dragons prove to be a really good archetype for them to build around. Basic concept of the deck, as since you're a priest, you're going to stop your opponent from doing anything. You have lots of cards to do that. You have your Shadow Word's Pains and Deaths, you have your Entombs, Holy Novas. The ability to just heal your stuff is also really impactful in trading. So you just stop your opponent from doing things. It has less of the priest cards than, say, like a Circle of Healing deck would, which can try to squeeze in a lot of the like Shadow Madness and those sorts of cards. It doesn't have as many things as the N'Zoth deck, which with the extra Excavated Evils, so you have more board clears. Because Dragon Priest proves to be a lot more mid-range than most other Priest decks. Basic idea, you get dragons out early with your Twilight Whelps, with your Wormrest Agents. They give you good bodies to heal off of with Northshire Cleric to draw a bunch of cards. And then between turns 5 and 8, you throw out a bunch of like medium threats. Like a Blackwing Corruptor at 5/4 will end the game eventually. It's a big enough threat your opponent has to remove it. So in the control matchups, you have so many little threats that they run out of removal and eventually you just beat them down. And your ability to heal means that they have to deal all 4 damage at once. They can't chip away things or else you're just going to heal them back up. And then you kill them before they can get their big late game threats out. Versus the aggro matchup, because you're a priest, you have a lot longer clock than most other classes because you can keep healing yourself. So you just use your dragons to stabilize the board, and then you do have a bit of late game in here to let you overpower the zoo decks, the face shamans, the hunters, all of those. This deck proves to be very, very strong against aggro because you already have some solid bodies, you can heal, you have ways to clear their board, and it just proves to be really, really solid all around for aggro. Versus control, you're on a clock. This deck used to be a lot better in the late game, but then the old gods came out. Now with the old gods, you just don't have the force you need. So you're more reliant on playing it like a true mid-range deck where you overpower them before you get to that point. That's the biggest change to Dragon Priest, and that change has made it drop off in popularity a lot, but it's still a pretty damn good deck. There are a few different variations. Basically, the biggest choices you can make is whether you want to be better against aggro or whether you want to try to set it so that you can fight those control matchups a little bit better. I personally find a list like this to be a lot nicer because I like having the early game earlier. I like having the early game because it allows me to have a more consistent start. Because that's also, as a priest, the biggest hindrance to priest is that you need synergy. If you draw cards in the wrong order, if you don't draw a dragon to activate your cards, the deck bricks, as it were. It turns into a brick and you can't do anything with it. So I like having these extra early game cards just to try to flush out that early game, and it gives me a stronger mid game, which I think is more important than having a couple of extra big end bodies. But I'll show you what you can do. This is Sottle. Sottle is a pro player. He plays in tournaments all the time, and this is his version of the deck. Now, it makes sense that he would have a little bit more late game than I would on ladder, because when you're playing in tournaments, you're going to be fighting predominantly control decks. So he throws in the Sylvanas Windrunner, because it's really good against control. He throws in a second Entomb, because, again, really good against control. And he just kind of clears out a little bit of the early game. And this makes the deck pretty strong. He drops a Forbidden Shaping, he drops the Shifting Shade. He doesn't have Museum, or yeah, no, he does still have the 2 Museum Curators, but drops a couple cards on this end of the list just to fit in a couple more on this end. Reason you do that is if you're fighting a lot of control decks, then you want to have an extra Entomb, you want the Sylvanas, because both of those cards are very strong against control. But if you're fighting a lot of aggro, like I've been, especially because the season just restarted, then yeah, you want to have a little bit more early game. I'll show you one other example. It's kind of like a middle ground between the two. Although in this one, somebody was concerned about having an extra big end game, I would say the Sylvanas and the Entomb are better. But, like, it's personal preference. He keeps the Shifting Shade, he adds one extra late game card. It's a little bit between the two. I think you should commit to one or the other. Like, you should either make Soddle's deck or a version of my deck. Like, obviously, personal choice. Oh, one last thing I'd like to say. Blackwing Technician proves to be a card that you can drop a lot of the time. It's not as good as you'd think. It's better in Priest than a lot of decks, but if you're looking to make cuts for something, like you want to fit in a tech card, you want to fit in extra dragon, something like that, Blackwing Technician is a good place to look for that. And the brand Bronzebeard is just a flash show. I don't think it's a good choice. Obviously, there's tons and tons of battle cries in this deck, so it's not unlikely that you'll be able to combo it, but I just think there's better things that can be in this deck instead of brand Bronzebeard, and as Priest, consistency is the name of the game. Everything you do should be set towards trying to be consistent. But yeah, we're going to take a look at how this deck plays. We're going to see how Dragon Priest is faring now that it's not as strong in the late game as it used to be. But I think we'll find that it does a hell of a lot better against aggro than most people would think. So let's jump into the games. Alright, up against a warrior. Could be Cthulhu warrior, that crazy hybrid control warrior, or the tempo warrior with pirates that I keep seeing everywhere. Keep the Twilight Whelp and the Chill Maw because it serves as an activator for Twilight Whelp. Pretty strong turn one play. Of course, he might just coin Winax me here. Alright, that's a really good turn 2 draw. Now, this is how you hope the game goes for you as mid-range. I'm on a really good position on turn 3. That's just awesome for me. We're really far away from Brawl still, so I'm going to just flood. Brawl costs 5 mana. He's turn 3, so he can't play it until at most next turn when he coins. So, feel pretty secure in this line of play. Oh, and he uses his coin, so I get an extra turn. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm about to ruin your day. Sometimes that happens, though.
Welcome to the exhibit.
5 drop for next turn. That's why I take that.
Right away.
I don't know if I'll want to play anything else at this point though, because I'm like super heavily committed to Brawl.
You think this is funny?
2, 4, 6. He's never gonna have enough of a board for me to use Holy Nova. So here I get to draw a card, deal 2 damage to him, and save a Whelp,
Right away.
which makes it feel worth it. Like sometimes Holy Nova is a really, really valuable card, but you gotta play it based on matchup. I'm playing a Control Warrior for sure, so I know that he's not gonna have a whole lot of stuff to throw out at me. Which means that in this case, it's best to just use Holy Nova rather than committing more things to the board.
Right away.
I just want to hit him in the face a bunch, just try to like work him down really, really quick. That's good for me. Gonna have to use the Shield Slam on 5/4. Which is also good for me. I'm about to throw in 6/6.
Right away.
Which hopefully he doesn't have another Shield Slam for. He might, but
He hasn't drawn half his deck yet. He's already used one, so it's statistically unlikely that he'll have it. See what we get out of the Death Rattle, but I might tune that. My hand is so low, and this is a dragon deck, so I'm going to take the Deathwing. And
Right away.
I'm playing really aggressively because Control Warrior will usually have enough threats to overpower a priest, and using Gore Howl, which almost all Controller Warriors are running at this point, you can... Oh shit, that's my own mistake. But it kills his thing.
You have the artifact.
Gore Howl is so hard for Dragon Priest to deal with. It just does so much damage. Like, it can kill so many of your moderate threats, and it makes it really hard for you to stay in the game. So we've seen one Shield Slam, one Execute. Still has another Execute, presumably. Call me crazy, but this seems like the more efficient play. And it might bait out another Shield Slam.
I dream and the world
Okay.
trembles.
I miss the days of Shrinkmeister. It's just like, haha, Shrinkmeister Cabal, to hell with you. Those are good times. Yeah, I want the 12. I'm threatening lethal now. Like, rankly threatening lethal. He doesn't know, but he has to be really afraid that I have like a Ysera in my hand or something. And I can pull out. I don't. Not at all. He doesn't know that. And he's drawing a card, so that's always a good sign that he doesn't have a clear answer. It's also really like hard for him to deal 1 damage to this by getting past the taunt. Because he has to get past the taunt to deal damage to Execute, or he has to use another card to deal damage to Execute. In either case, it's pretty tough. So he has to do that. Oh, and he brawls. Who will win? Me! Yeah, Warrior is the only matchup where I would recommend playing pretty aggressive, just because it's really hard to keep up with their life gain. Like, Warriors can gain more health than Priests, so you really need to find a way to just get in there and work them down. And that's how you do it. Otherwise, the game just drags on and on and on, and then you eventually lose. Usually. Sometimes you can pull it off, like a couple of little things here and there, and you'll win, but it's pretty tough. It's important to get that strong early start and just keep riding it against something like Control Warrior.
Anduin versus
Alright,
Air.
playing some sort of warrior. Could be a Tempo Warrior or some variant of Control Warrior. The variants of Control Warrior, Cthulhu, N'Zoth, hybrids of those, Fatigue Warrior, which almost always has Cthulhu in it anyway, just so you can get the extra 10 heals out of that. Can't remember its name. The rare Cthulhu card for Warriors. We'll keep the Forbidden Shaping. It might help us curve out. Coin, Museum Curator. Northshire Cleric. We'll throw out the Northshire. Might get Fiery Wind-Axed here. Apparently it's like a 48% chance they have it. Yep. That's fine though. Let me throw the museum curator in, and then gets hit next. Shifting Shades better than Bloodhoof, simply because I can potentially play it next turn. Well, although I'll play the 2/4 even if I don't draw the dragon over that, assuming he doesn't use his charge on this.
Let the pain speak to me.
But now I have to death that. Yep. Because you can't let him draw cards. Shadow Word, Pain that. That's so weird. Huh. You just... I could paint it, or I could have the Shifting Shade out, which means that he gets to draw an extra card. But I get the Shade out. What do I do next turn, though? Next turn at 4 mana, I don't really have a play. So, you know what? I'll play it slow. I feel a little anxious to get this moving, because I always, against Control Warrior, you really want to be doing damage early on. So that is a good indication that this is some sort of tempo. Some sort of tempo warrior. They just had a bad opening hand. Weird, though. Don't usually have room for Acolyte of Pain in those. Execute. Execute. 3/4 Taunt's actually really good here. Yep. But I have a feeling he's just going to hit me in the face next turn. And I'm going to get the wickedest Holy Nova off, because he's just going to hit me in the face. I bet you anything, he's just going to hit me for 7. Maybe even more if he's got, revenges and shit. Okay, Blood to Icarit. Oh, yeah, he's great. So he is. Alright, I might have screwed myself a little here. I underestimated my opponent. He underestimates me! Ho, 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 ho. And he is pretty much out of cards. That's one of the biggest ways for Tempo Warrior to lose is, oh, you played a Bloodhoof. I love Bloodhoofs. Give me that. That's insane. For 6 mana, I got 6/11 worth of stats. That's just, wow, disgustingly good.
I have no time for games.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll just...
Are you mocking me?
do that. Because schma. He has 3 cards to my lots of cards. But if his 3 cards are things like that. In the face too. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sweet merciful card Jesus. Sorry if you're religious. I think you're running a brawl in here somewhere, but I think we gotta risk it to get the biscuit, as my old coworker would have said. See, Battle Rage makes sense for him to have. It's weird for him to have Battle Rage, Acolyte. He has so many weird cards in this deck. I don't even know what to make of it. Okay. So weird. So weird.
You think this is funny? This is funny.
Now he's down to 2 cards at a time. Now, of course, he has cards like Ragnaros. That might be a problem. He doesn't have cards like Ragnaros. It's okay then. It's gonna be fine. You have a whirlwind? Some sort of whirlwind effect? Revenge, perhaps?
For the war chief.
Okay. Okay. him so low on cards, I don't think Holy Nova is ever going to have a better opportunity to be used than this. But yeah, we'll just Holy Nova here. Now he is top decking, and I have the Entomb for whatever big scary ass thing he plays next. I think I got him though. I think I outlasted Tempo Warrior. The biggest thing Tempo Warrior has against it is that you go through a lot of cards quickly, and once you get to like turn 8 or 9, you usually just run out of flow. So this seems to be some sort of like hybrid tempo control variant. I don't know what to make of it. Oh, the fun you have around rank 14. People are still just playing kind of random decks. That. I don't think I need the taunt. I'm not too worried about getting bursted from here. I'd rather just have Ysera out on the board, gaining absurd amounts of value. After this, I got the Chill Maw, and like it's still having Tomb, so feeling really secure in this game. It's never impossible to lose in Hearthstone because Hearthstone is a fickle game, but I think it's got to be 1 in 50 games that I lose from this position. No, it's fine to have that out. And, like, we're just gonna keep healing face, because that's important at this point. Like, meh. We have lethal next turn, probably. Yeah. He ran out of cards. And sometimes that's how you win against those more aggressive variants. Well, most of the time. Unless you're fighting Zoo, usually you win when they run out of cards and you just start healing. Yeah, easy game.
Alright, so we're probably playing Zoo or Relock. In which case we're looking for a couple of early drops. We'll toss all of this, looking for 1s and 2s. There we go. That's a bit better. If this is Zoo, we're pretty heavily favored. Dragon Priest is very good at controlling the board. Especially if I draw into a couple of other cards, because this is pretty terrible. This is about as bad as opening hands get.
Why do you call?
Even with that said though, I think I can still probably win against this player. Okay, that's good news, him tapping. He coins out a 1-drop, that's also good news. Oh, he's gonna power overwhelming to get rid of that. That's a very strange choice. One I'm alright with, but not one I really understand. It's a bit risky throwing out the Northshire without having a way to activate it, but I think it'll be alright, because I have the Shadow Word Pain to remove any sort of danger to it. Hopefully he can't buff that to 4. Okay, he can.
Right away.
Wonderful news. And we'll just go ahead. I haven't drawn any board clears. It looks like he didn't have the best opening hand either, having to tap on turn 2. Might have been because he was worried about running things into my 2-3. Whatever the case, I'm now quite far ahead. Drawing cards, as odd as it seems, may be the right choice next turn. No, I will Blackwing Corruptor. It's important to respect Zoo. The second you stop respecting Zoo, that's when they beat you. Appreciate that even though it feels like you're really far ahead, these aggressive decks can pull wins out of nowhere.
Buying or selling.
So I'll just keep on clearing away the zoo until I pretty much have him locked out. Wonder if he has a way to get rid of my North Shire.
You love my new recipe.
He does. Okay.
Best seats ever.
Okay. We'll discover first.
Welcome to the
Discover
exhibit.
something really nice. That's pretty nice, actually. He'll be able to trade here. That's alright. I have Chilma next turn, which will be hard for him to get past.
Buying or selling.
Although I may not want to play Chilma because I don't want to kill my own things. But I have a board clear, I have Ysera, I have Entomb in case of a big threat such as Doomguard, or if he manages to ramp up his second Councilman. And otherwise, I will just inevitably whittle down his threats. I'm not worried about my health total too much because I can heal, I'm a priest. And he's at 23 health. That's fine. I just have to wait. Priest is a very patient class.
Almost out of time.
He's debating because he probably doesn't have any good
My
plays.
shield for Argus.
Okay. Since he's opted for that play, I'll play out the 6/6, trades with both of them, and if he has a way to clear it, it'll kill the other one, eating up more of his cards. He would need to use his second power overwhelming for this, which would be pretty nice for me because that means I've eliminated almost all of his burst, which is all I'm afraid of. Not currently, but in a future situation, that's what I would be afraid of as priest. Okay. He's banking on me not having a dragon, I take it. Excepting he loses 3 cards to my 1 card. He fills the board, but I do have quite a few taunts. With the 3/6 out and the 2/4, the 3 or the 5/1/1s are suddenly just not a problem. He activates his Vlad, which is to be expected. He's running a very powerful zoo deck. So this is where we start to win. Because sure, he's going to be able to deal 6 damage to me next turn. Big whoop. I'm a little off for this play, actually. I like it. Keeps the dragon in hand. Well, I have 2 dragons. I just like it because getting value off Cabal is always nice, and I have the 3 drop to drop as well to keep on curve. He's heavily debating this card. He might be running the 2 Doomguards. That's the only other threat.
My shield for Argus.
Okay. But he probably makes those 2 trades.
Okay. Buff this up a little.
Stop this.
And add in like that. And draw another card.
My work is paramount.
And continue to contest the board with better minions. The councilman might get out of control this turn. That's alright though. I didn't have a way to effectively remove it last turn. I could have entombed it, but I feel this play is better. So I'll probably be able to Blackwing Corruptor it. More coils. Still haven't drawn any of my 3 different board clears. Well, I drew Chillnoth, but that's a quasi-board clear. I don't typically count it. So I still have the 2 Holy Novas and the Excavated Evil. Could do the full clear, except for a 1/1 with Excavated Evil, and then Blackwing Corruptor the 1/1.
I must consider.
Alternative plays is Ysera or Entomb. I don't want to leave this board up, so I think I will opt for this. And it's just more important to have the 5/4 out on the field than for any other reason. Like, it's not because I'm worried about the 1/1. It's more so because I want to be able to have the 5/4 out preemptively at the start of my turn. See how, even though I've been winning all game, as Priest, it's very hard to actually win.
Get in there and fight!
I've been ahead. I have whittled down my opponent to 9 cards left in his deck.
I dream.
Seems like a nice safe turn to throw out Ysera.
Get it out! Get it out!
I don't quite have lethal. I'm very close. Let's play out some random ace draw.
My command! Swatting insects! Swatting insects!
I shall bring you rest.
Next turn I have lethal. Pretty much, no matter what, these sorts of zoo decks don't run any sort of healing. So there's no way for him to get out of lethal range.
Well played. You
He's aware.
this time.
Very patient.
Alright, so that was Dragon Priest, and I mean, that's an interesting deck. Still around, still doing well. I mean, it reminds me of Magic with kind of the green blue side to it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
you got your buffing ramp and you have your trickery.
yeah, all the priest trickery here, where you're killing their stuff with shadow words, you're stealing it with Cabal Shadow Priest, you're silencing them, you're wiping their board, you're healing your health, you're damaging your opponent. So many weird things you can do. You can draw cards out of nowhere as a priest, like, and the dragons add that muscle that priest needs, and that's the cool thing about this deck. I'm not sure if if it's as good as Cthulhu or N'Zoth Priest right now. Honestly, if I were to ask you guys a question for the week, that's what I'm wondering is, do you think Dragon Priest can compete with those new decks coming out?
Well, of course, because I'm here in Control, and what he's taught me is that you have the card. The card does a blanket of things, but do you play it when it really matters? And try to think of that when you stack up a deck that has these options against what it's facing, you know? Because, man, if you misplay and overcost a cancel, yeah, you cancel the thing, but you're still at a loss. You still shot yourself, you know? Control deck's really tight, and it's hard to think with that when, you know, you might just lose because of something that pisses you off.
Yeah, those are always the things you have to think about when playing a priest. It's just, the wonder is, because priests will always have those tricks and those cancels. Is the backbone of dragons better than the backbone of the new Old God Cthulhu or the new Death Rattle Old God N'Zoth? Because I'm really not too sure.
Alright, well, thanks for watching, and if you like our content, please like it, subscribe, comment below if you feel compelled to, and if you really like our stuff, support us on Patreon. See ya!
See you!